all your kit, then you might need to do that training session on your own, or at least run or cycle downwind of those you're riding or running with. And I must admit, at Running Club, I have had to reposition myself in the group from a few smelly t-shirts before now. Doing anything when you're hungry is difficult, and it does depend on what level of hunger we're talking. You need to work out whether it's just the thought of going training instead of having that nice hot meal that you can smell when you get home, or if it is actually hunger. And then first of all, make sure you're adequately hydrated, because that can actually disguise itself as hunger sometimes. And if you are still hungry, then just have a pre-training snack. And I make sure I've always got some emergency snacks in my bag if that does happen to me, so it doesn't get in the way of my next training session. If you've done an intense session or trained in a hot environment, it's likely that your body temperature is going to take a while to cool down. And then add to that, trying to get changed in a hot, humid change room, especially if you're in a hurry, it's going to take even longer, and that often results in that red face look many of us experience. And for example, if you've been swimming, you might even have goggle rings or hat marks to add to that. And that's not really the type of look that you're going to want for your first work meeting of the day. If you do have the option of a cold shower for a few seconds, isn't pleasant at the time, but it will definitely help reduce your body temperature, or even just splashing some cold water on your face. And make sure you allow yourself enough time so you're not getting changed in a rush. But if that still doesn't help, then you could be worth investigating and getting some face cooling cream, or even dabbling in a little bit of makeup. I really could go on, and you've probably realised that I'm really a little too good at these excuses, but I think that's enough for one day. Hopefully you don't find yourself using any of these excuses, but if you do, you've at least got methods in which to overcome them and make sure you get that session completed, because trust me, the feeling afterwards is definitely worth it. If you've enjoyed this, hit the thumb up like button, hit the globe to subscribe to make sure you get all of our videos here at GTN. And if you do struggle with time being an issue when it comes to your training, we've made a video for strategies to deal with that just here. And if you want to know how to avoid junk miles when it comes to cycling, you can check out this video here.
Morning, Trainiacs. Final day of production. Bring it.
Welcome to the GTN Tech Show.
This week we have fires, Sagan's aluminium bike, loads of exciting new tech from the Tour Down Under, as well as your upgrades and the bike vault.
Nice, better get going. Come on then, Ollie, tell us, what's hot in tech this week?
Well, e-bikes are pretty hot, Chris, but not as hot as this one, which caught fire whilst it was being ridden up Corkscrew Hill in Australia.
That looks nasty.
Yeah, Gary Ryan, 79, suffered burns when his bike burst into flames while he was riding it.
Yeah, not only that, the heat of the fire went on to set off all of his CO2 canisters as well, like a little firework display.
Yeah.
We should note though that it was an aftermarket e-bike motor, not a standard e-bike itself. So
yeah,
based on this, I'm not sure I'd use this one.
Yeah, it was retrofitted, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe it was a brush fire.
Maybe.
Ooh. Ollie, I want to know more about Peter Sagan's aluminium bike.
Yeah, check this out. It looks absolutely awesome. I think we're actually going to have a video of it on the tech channel that John's managed to shoot while he was out there. But it could be described as well a very clever marketing ploy by Specialized, if you were being cynical about it, because Peter Sagan took to the start line of the Down Under Classic Criterium, not on his normal carbon fibre S-Works, but a aluminium Alley sprint frame.
I am cynical, but I think it's genius, and I think it's really cool because he actually went on to finish second, just behind Caleb Ewan. But it does beg the question, would he have won on his carbon bike, or do you not even need carbon bikes to be competitive?
Yeah, well, I guess you can look at it either way, but yeah, I agree, it's really cool. It's a nice looking bike. Yeah,
it is a nice looking bike, and it's quite cool to see different materials back in the peloton. I sense an accent coming on, Ollie. Tell us about the next bit.
Well, it's been a bonza tick fest down under, and John has spotted some new Rafa shoes.
He did?
Sorry, I've just offended an entire nation. But yeah, John spotted some new Rafa shoes of a lace-up design. They're unreleased, quite similar to the Giro Empires, but they have a little Velcro strap on the front just above the toes.
Nice. These white shoes were spotted on the feet of Lachlan Morton of EF Education First.
Yeah. Also seen down under is a new helmet from Laser, the Bullet 2.0, which is claimed to be 9 seconds faster than the Laser Z1.
Crikey, Ollie! That is a bold claim. So the helmet is a further development of the previous version of the Laser Bullet, and it maintains that vent on the top, that sliding vent you can open and close. To get those bold claims, though, you're going to have to use the Zeiss visor.
Yeah, Laser have made some curiously specific claims about the new Bullet 2.0. You can save 7 watts over the Laser Z1, but to do that you have to ride at 58.68 kilometers per hour while wearing the visor and with the vents closed.
Yeah, it's quite specific, 36.44 miles an hour.
Yeah.
The only time I do that is going downhill, and if you can save me 7 watts when I'm freewheeling, I'll be quite happy.
Yeah, well, if you can do it for a whole kilometre, you'll save 9 seconds. So
expect to see these on the Sunweb riders this season. I would imagine you'll only see them in the flat, fast races though. But that's not all in the world of helmets, Ollie. A new POC has been spotted at the Tour Down Under on the heads of the EF Education riders again. The new Ventral, which claims to have better ventilation and a lower weight.
Yeah, it's got features borrowed from the previous POC Octal and Ventral aero helmet, and sort of combines both. And in a size medium, it's said to weigh just 230 grams, which is pretty competitive.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know it's on there. It's January, and following a massive overindulgence at Christmas, the gyms are packed and many of us are looking to get back into shape. Heart rate monitors and fitness trackers are all the rage. But the question is, Ollie, do we need tech to help us lose weight and get fitter?
Well, some cool tech was just reported, actually. Researchers at Purdue University, in collaboration with the University of Texas and the Idaho National Laboratory, reported on Tellurium Nanowires, which display a high piezoelectric response. Now, tellurium is a rare earth metal, and it's in the same group as sulfur and selenium in the periodic table. And it displays, well, piezoelectric sensitivity due to its unique kind of structure. And a piezoelectric effect is a polarized electrostatic response to mechanical stress.
So basically, if it moves or bends, it could create an electric signal.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the researchers used these Tellurium nanowires to make a wearable heart rate monitor, and they were really impressed by the sensitivity that it displayed. So in the future, this could be used to make heart rate monitors that are built in to clothing, and also it could be applied to things like power meters to make them more sensitive and more accurate than before if it was used in strain gauge technology.
Ollie, this is all well and good, but do we need tech and gadgets to actually help us get fitter and lose weight? Well, in 2014, a controlled study was conducted over 800 subjects. The results were published in the Lancet of Diabetes and Endocrinology, and the results found that after a year of wearing a clip-on activity tracker, the subjects noticed no effect on their health and fitness.
A second study in the Journal of the American Medical Association, which I know is one of your favourites.
Top 15.
Showed that subjects without fitness trackers lost more weight than their gadget-wearing counterparts, on average £8 more.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and crucially, it also showed that when you were using a fitness tracker, the people that did that were no more fit or healthy than those without.
An important disclaimer, though, is that since these studies were conducted, the technology in these gadgets has advanced quite quickly, hasn't it? They've become much more engaging, to the point that I think that tech and gadgets like these actually can help us get fitter.
Yeah, and more accurate too.
Yeah.
Power meters can be used to measure energy expenditure, as kilojoules can be converted into calories. But this isn't totally accurate because it does rely on an estimation of the efficiency of the human body. And the human body isn't 100% efficient. And typically, you can expect to have a plus or minus 5% accuracy of the calculation.
Another tool you can use is a heart rate monitor. These are great, but essentially they do estimate your energy expenditure. And they're not as accurate as power meters, are they? They're plus or minus 20%, which is close, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Some apps, though, simply estimate what you're doing based on your time and your distance.
Yeah.
And whilst it's an idea, they can be way off the mark, so I don't really recommend using those.
Yeah, so apart from potentially overestimating calorie expenditure, you know, why else might fitness gadgets be hampering weight loss and people trying to get fitter?
Well, there is increasing evidence that after using a fitness tracking app or something like that, people are then so aware of the calories they've used that they're overcompensating, essentially. So they'll eat more or they'll sit down for longer. They'll effectively do less between their workouts than they perhaps would have done otherwise, which kind of negates doing the effort in the first place. These
compensatory behaviours can very easily offset the work done and the calorie expenditure from exercise. And in 2009, a study actually showed that people subconsciously ate more post-exercise.
You know what all these apps are great for, though, is motivation. I really find personally that if I've got a target to work towards, whether it's a really good, accurate target or just something that my watch throws up for me, it really helps me motivate myself. Yeah, and I've really been impressed by how indoor training has improved. I used to hate doing indoor training, right? It was torture for me and I would avoid it at all costs. But now that turbo trainers have become much better, they feel much more realistic. You know, you can have fans set up and interactive experiences, whether it's an app or some kind of video of you riding up a mountain or something. I find it much easier to motivate myself and do workouts indoors, whereas before I just never did. And tech's helped me get fitter outside because I still detest riding indoors, but fortunately clothing has improved so much in the 22 years that I've been riding a bike that it's now much more bearable to be outside, even on the worst of days. Yeah, waterproof jackets now are just like so much better. Yeah. you actually get home being able to use your fingers now. Yeah. Whereas before, you might as well have had these big claws on the end of your arms. Useless trying to get a key in a Yale lock. And if, like me, you still detest riding indoors, well then fortunately tech has gotten a lot better in our clothing, so you can spend longer outside even when the weather isn't that great. Yeah, which, I mean, that's pretty rare in the UK. Look at these tans. We have an amazing climate. I mean, I don't want to brag to you guys, but we're pretty lucky. Anyway, I think the evidence is clear that there are undoubtedly huge benefits to doing exercise, but it's that classic thing of, combine exercise with a good diet, and, that's the key, but make tech work for you and not kind of just rely on tech to be the solution. So we want to know, how do you use your tech? Drop it down in the comments box below. Yeah, do you think tech is a useful tool to help you lose weight or get fit? More tech now. I'm a big fan of aero socks. They can provide a measurable reduction to your aerodynamic drag. But the UCI isn't a fan, and they introduced a new rule this year limiting sock height. But fortunately, a small company called Rule 28 have responded to this by making UCI legal socks / overshoes that have just come out. / leg warmers, Ollie, if you look at the originals. Not a fan. Too long.
Too long?
Yeah.
I thought you liked long socks.
No, if it covers the bulge of my calf, then it's too long.
I'm glad you said of your calf on the end of that. It's now time for Screw Riding Upgrades by Upgrades, where you submit before and after pictures or videos of your bikes and equipment for a chance to win the ultimate prize, the GCN Capron.
Such an ultimate prize, it's so incredibly rare. I haven't seen it today.
Yeah, Suggestion Boy ran off with it, but we'll get it back off him.
Last week it was Robert versus Joseph, Colorado versus Cleethorpes. Impossibly the first ever head-to-head between the two towns.
Yeah.
You would imagine, anyway. So, what was it? Robert's Specialised?
Yeah.
Or Joe's Retro Reboot?
Man, it was close, right? But the winner is Robert from Colorado.
Nice.
With his Specialised, 52 to 48%. That's close, isn't it?
That is very close.
Yeah. Well done. Caprons in the post. Right, this week
we have Andrew with a Chameleon Blue Cannondale 1998 R1000 CAD 3. State College, Pennsylvania. Andrew bought the bike for $80 off of Craigslist with a mishmash of parts, Shimano RSX derailleurs and a wheel set with a goofy headset and 2 different shifters. The entire group set was upgraded to SRAM Apex and SRAM Red cranks. A Cane Creek headset replaced the aged threaded headset along with an Eastern Aero fork. The old RSX wheel set was also upgraded to Mavic Cosmic SL wheels. The finishing kit was upgraded to a Thompson stem and seat post, Physique Arione saddle, carbon bottle cage, Bontrager bar with lizard skin bar tape. And what a difference it's made too.
It's really tidy, isn't it? It's really smart, and I love the attention to detail on just sort of all the little bits. And it's just a classic example that of just showing you how, you know, you can turn something that already was quite a nice bike, just, you know, no special bits on it, and a little bit tired, into something that looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I do love a standard top tube, you know, completely traditional and flat. I like the way you've kept your quick release lever on your seat post.
Yeah, and also Cannondale have kind of, as soon as you've upcycled your Cannondale, they've gone back to that kind of logo now as well this year, which is pretty awesome.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you see it on the new EF Education First bikes.
Nice.
But he's up against Jonathan, who's from Gloucestershire. That's if you say it with an American accent, but it's in England. And Jonathan had always wanted to build his own frame, but he didn't have welding or brazing skills, and he did have a background in woodwork, so he thought a bamboo gravel bike would be a great project.
Well, why not?
I know, awesome, right? So he built a bamboo bike, but unfortunately his wife, who I'm sure is lovely and didn't act maliciously when she did this, left the bike next to a radiator when she was making room for a visit from the mother-in-law. Now, this unfortunate series of events resulted in a loud bang in the middle of the night and a huge crack in the top tube as the bamboo had dried out.
Oh, well.
Crumbs. Now, in what could be described as the greatest comeback since Mighty Ducks 2, John set about building another bamboo bike, and this one was going to be even better than the one he built first time round. The second bike that John built used a composite construction combining bamboo tubes with carbon fibre lugs, resulting in it halving the frame weight of the original.
Nice.
Yeah, he completed it in time for Christmas, just gone, and took it on a charity gravel ride in January. Awesome work. I mean, I'm just completely blown away. Very impressive indeed. I wouldn't know where to start in terms of trying to build a bike out of bamboo, but...
It looks like a real good loaf.
Yeah, it looks awesome, doesn't it? It's a good picture of it as well.
That's a terrible pun, wasn't it, Ollie?
Yeah, was it?
It's a really cool looking bike. I actually really like that.
Yeah.
I never knew that a hazard of owning a bamboo bike was that your top tube could crack if you left an air radiator.
I know. I feel like I've learned something.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, it's not down to us. Let us know. You vote up here.
Over there somewhere.
Yeah. And
we'll find out next week, won't we?
Yeah, you decide.
Bike of the week now, and last week it was the Cervelo S5 of Sunweb, and that was up against the BMC Time Machine from Dimension Data. And walking home with the victory, a whopping 69% of the vote, it was the BMC.
Comprehensive victory there.
Yeah, I wonder if Cavendish will get as many easy victories like that this year.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice. I'd like to see him come back. And
I would as well, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty cool.
What have we got this week?
Right, this week, well, we had to include some of the awesome new pro bikes that John's been seeing down under. So we've got Peter Sagan's aluminium Alley Sprint that we mentioned earlier in the show, and we're going to put that up against the Cannondale System 6 of EF Education First.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
I don't know, but I know where to vote, and it's going to be up there in that corner.
Yeah, I quite like the sort of new old Cannondale logo on the Cannondale.
Yeah,
cool.
Well, they're quite different bikes.
Yeah.
Let us know. Time now for my favourite event of the week. It's the Bike Vault. But where is the bell?
It's just there.
Oh yeah, sorry, Ollie. Here it is! Yeah! It's your turn this week, actually.
No, it's okay. You can. First up this week, we've got Ryan, who's from Western Australia, Perth, and he took a picture of his BMC Team Machine SLR01 outside this blue boathouse, which is apparently a very popular spot for people taking photos, and he was unable to do it on several occasions due to thronging queues, but managed to avoid them and take the photo one evening. Check that out. What do you rake of that?
Well, I can see why there's a queue to take that picture, because that's stunning.
It's a great spot, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is an awesome picture.
One of the best I've seen, actually, for a location.
Yeah. Awesome bike as well. I mean, full Jura Ace, very bling.
And quite brave, because I can imagine you wouldn't have had to make too much of a mistake for that to fall in the sea.
Yeah, I don't think it was a very windy day looking at the waves, so I think that was sensible. But yeah, Envy wheels on there, very smart. Full Jura Ace Di2. I mean, oh no, it's a mechanical Jura Ace, but still awesome. Envy stem matching the wheels. Oh, I mean, he's left his light on, but...
Well, yeah, why not? Safety first.
Well, he's going on an evening ride. He said it in the description.
Lights first.
Yeah.
Ollie, I love a bike with a flat top tube.
It's a super nice for me.
It's a super nice for me. Is that enough, do you think?
Yeah.
Cool. Right then, next up, an Orbea Orca Mio Golf from Tristan in Yorkshire.
Oh, well.
Inspired by the 1960s Golf GT40s. Oh, they were cool. Made by Ford, but Golf was a livery.
Yeah.
Well, what do you reckon?
Well, I mean, Orbea do awesome custom paint jobs, don't they?
They do.
Oh, you've got one. But I mean, I'm a big fan. I like cars. I'm a big fan of the Golf GT40 livery, so that's good. And if that wasn't enough, I mean, it's got a gold chain on it.
Yeah. I love it. It looks
John
really cool. Oh, sorry. I didn't even see. I was just staring at the bike. I really like that. I think it's a really cool bike.
Yeah, nice.
I can imagine it's a lot of fun to ride.
He's ticked the boxes there. I mean, he's taking his saddleback off, he's taking his bottles off, he's put his crank in the correct position. I mean, he's not quite got it in the little ring, but that does show off the gold chain well, so I'll forgive him.
It's a functional gear.
Yes, it is. It's honest. It's an honest gear. I think also I like the way he's cut the top of his. Got no excess steerer on there as well. He's cut the top off.
Right, it looks good. It looks like you probably have a lot of fun riding it.
I mean, that's the easy one for me. That's a super nice. John doesn't normally do it that long, but okay.
John's not here, Ollie.
Next, we have Joe, who has a Bianchi Ultra with Ultegra on it, and it's in Pine Lake, California. And check that out. That's a beautiful location, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to go there. Have you been there?
I've not been there, no.
I really want to go there. What do you think of the bike?
Well, I like the shape of it. I like the geometry of it. I love how low your bars are. Deep drop bars as well, which you don't see often.
A long stem, aero bars. Yeah, negative stem.
Looks like you're going on a long ride too. You've got big bottles, big bidons.
Power tap pedals. I'm not too sure about the mismatched bottles though. It's just grating on me slightly.
You didn't ask for the belt this week.
I mean, it's.
Maybe it's his team colours, Ollie. Maybe his team colours or his club colours match the bottles perfectly.
I mean, I think it's really nice.
Ollie, doesn't it have to be unanimous?
No, I have to agree, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Right then, we better move on.
Nice.
To Dennis's R3 Ultegra 68000. Or 6,800 rather. Giant SLR 0 aero wheels, rotor in power, in Maui. The road to Lahina, looking back towards Kihei.
It's a beautiful location, but looking at the large number of water bottles festooned to the bike, I'm guessing that Joe preceded the ride with a swim and followed it with a...
Well, it is the home of the Ironman, effectively. And he was on his way up a volcano.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's nice, but I mean,
it's the cycling version of a camel, isn't it?
There's a lot of the bottles on there.
You've got a thing about water carrying devices, haven't you, Ollie?
I do. Yeah.
The last bike, this bike.
I mean, to his credit, they are matching bottles, and he has given a good excuse as to why he has his bottles on there. He is going up a volcano. What do you reckon, OP?
Next up, that's a nice from us.
Nice, very nice bike. Next up, we've got Ferruz with his Cannondale CAD 8 in Kuala Lumpur.
Aluminium bike, Ollie.
Yes. Now, I think that is a really nice bike. It may not be as bling as, we get some exceptionally bling bikes in the bike vault, don't we? But it's not always about absolute blingness. That is a very nice bike. And you can clearly see that that's someone's pride and joy, and they take very good care of it. There's got, a lot of details in there. One slight criticism though, the drivetrain could be a little bit cleaner. I think you can see some dirt on the sprockets there, but and also there does appear to be a bit of steerer tube above the stem as well.
What are you saying, Ollie?
Well, I think it's a very nice bike, but if we're going to be letting things into the bike vault, and we expect people to make the effort. It's tough, isn't it, man?
It is tough. I feel bad, Ollie.
It's a lovely bike. I do love the CAD 8.
Actually, no, I don't feel bad because I gave the bike super nices. It was you that chose not to.
Okay, well that's a nice from me, but thanks very much for your submission. It's a great bike. Right. I think that's
Well, that is it.
for the
It's time
end
to
of the
close those,
show.
isn't it?
Yes.
Hang the bell back on the wall. Oh, Ollie, it's the end of the show.
I know, shame. But make sure you keep it locked in on the tech channel because we've got loads of cool stuff.
Yeah, we have. Saturday, Elia Viviani's bike from the Tour Down Under. Sunday is Fast Bike Geometry, which has Cy testing out different geometries on different bikes and explaining why one's faster than the other.
Yeah, we've got your pro tips.
Hacks
Is that on Monday?
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And also we've got an exciting giveaway and unboxing of the new ASOS S9 bib shorts coming out as well. So there'll be a chance to win. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
And if you want a guide to all of 2019's World Tour bikes, why not check out that video down there?
Yeah, and if you want a bargain, well, we've got up to 40% off in the GCN shop at the moment, so you've got a new flipper, didn't you?
Yeah, size large now, Ollie. I've grown.
So I'll get you a fitness tracker and sort that out.
Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
Coming up this week, we have loads, including exotic new time trial bikes, your upgrades, the bike vault, and our main talking point, which is, should the UCI relax their rules so that we can have more funky looking bikes like the one down there?
First up is this, the new specialised Shiv TT. Now the Ironman World Championships in Kona has become a popular place in recent years to launch new TT bikes, and this year has seen the exciting reveal of the new Shiv, which replaces the previous Shiv and, well, it's had a huge overhaul to its design.
Yeah, it's now available in disc only.
Yeah.
And it features this brand new fork, which is a dual crown fork, essentially, which extends like in a really wide stance all the way from the axle right up to the bars, which is said to aid aerodynamics and stability, especially in crosswinds. That's not all though. Specialized have also addressed practicality for transport. The bars actually adjust so that you can flap them down instead of removing them for transport, which is genius.
Yeah, interesting. Also, the giant fin that you can see at the back, well, that's essentially a fairing for improved aerodynamics, but it has a dual purpose. It also actually contains a 1.5 litre water bladder, and from that, a giant straw extends up through the down tube and then pops out at the cockpit so the rider can drink.
Fancy cleaning that.
Yeah, you imagine it'd be quite difficult to clean, but...
Specialized also say the bike is 60 seconds faster over the 180km course at Kona than their previous model, and features a storage box in the down tube for marmalade sandwiches and egg custard tarts.
You love a custard tart, don't you? It's now time for our main talking point, which is, should bikes like this be UCI legal? So this week saw the Ironman World Championships in Kona take place, where competitors are able to ride radical bikes like this. And this is because the ITU, or International Triathlon Union, rules are far more relaxed than that of the UCI. And this means that bike designers are able to have much more freedom in the bikes they design and, well, really go to town.
Yeah, and it's this that's got us thinking, should competitive cyclists also be able to ride TT bikes like these? Don't worry, we're not turning into a triathlon channel, as we've got GTM for that.
So the obvious question arises, should the UCI rules be ditched so that pro cyclists can race on more radical bikes that are more aerodynamic and, well, encourage greater innovation within the sport?
Well, I think they should.
This is the Cipo Shadow R, and we first reported on it from Eurobike earlier in the year, and it features a really interesting beam design, which uses, well, a sort of integrated aero mudguard, or fender if you're American, to help manipulate the airflow over the front wheel.
I think that looks like the ultimate winter commuter, that.
Yeah, mudguards, disc brakes.
Slightly less radical was the Canyon Speedmax of winner Patrick Langer. His bike is essentially the same frame that Katusha and Movistar use, but he's got the addition of the UCI legal aero lunchboxes and hydration system.
Yeah, well, plenty of custard tarts you fit in there.
Yeah, just think how many. He's also got a custom cockpit as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is the rule that prevents the UCI, well, what is the UCI rule that prevents everyone using these funky bikes?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Chris. Let's have a look.
You've not memorised it?
I have, I memorised it and wrote it down. So according to article 1.3021 of the UCI Equipment Charter, the triangular shape is defined from a design using 8cm wide boxes from each tube. In order to comply with this rule, the nominal rear wheel axle must be located within the seat stay and chainstay boxes. Furthermore, the bottom bracket axle must be located inside the chainstay, seat tube and down tube boxes. The drawing below illustrates these conditions.
So why do the rules exist?
I'm glad you asked that as well, Chris. According to Article 1.3.0121 of the Lugano Charter, it says the rule results from the Lugano Charter and has the objective of preserving the culture and image of the bicycle as historical fact. And among other things, it prevents the use of girder frames and bicycles with extravagant shapes that do not represent bicycles as understood by the UCI, which would change the existing disciplines.
One of my top favourite 17 charters, the Lugano Charter.
Yeah, it's just one of the best.
Basically, the charter is there to ensure that the traditional aesthetics of cycling aren't lost, which, whilst I kind of agree with it, is a little bit painful, but you know, from a mountain biking perspective, they would be a lot faster if they wore skin suits, the downhillers then. However, the UCI have also imposed a similar rule there, saying that they have to wear baggy clothes. And actually, in fact, I think there's even a measurement to how baggy the clothes have to be.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, isn't it? But I kind of get that, but I would argue that when you look at time trialists now in the Tour de France, the bikes and clothing that they wear already looks completely ridiculous and is a complete departure from what you would wear in a normal road race.
I guess another reason for these rules from the UCI is that it prevents someone coming along with a design that is just so far advanced that it gives them an unfair advantage.
Yeah, well, perhaps there's a compromise. How about for road racing events, competitors still have to use the sort of traditional diamond frame that adheres to the UCI rules and helps preserve the aesthetic of the sport. But for time trials, there could be a separate set of rules and, you know, the UCI rules could be relaxed so that cyclists could ride, well, amazing, radical bikes and, you know, it would just encourage loads of innovation and, well, exploration.
Well, there was a time when they could. Remember that Look 296 tyre that you had in your hands the other day?
Yeah.
Anyway, we want to know your thoughts on this, so let us know in the comments down below. Should pro cyclists be able to ride these ultra high-tech tri-bikes in TTs?
More tech now, and you know what, maybe sort of crazy tri-bikes are not all they're cracked up to be.
What do you mean? We've just spent the last 10 minutes talking about them.
Yeah, I know. But in addition to Langer's Speedmax, who, well, he won the event, the fastest bike split and Kona record was set by Cameron Worth, who was riding... Mate, I don't know how to pronounce Pinarello Bolide. How do you say it?
It's all right, I've done a little research on this. Just don't tell the camera guy.
Pinarello Bolide.
Nice. A brand new triathlon-specific version of the
Pinarello Bolide.
And take a look at that, no funky bean shape going on there. It's, well, look at it.
Yeah, that actually looks pretty cool. And it's not too dissimilar to the one that Team Sky used. This new
Pinarello Bolide
TR is actually their first tri-specific bike, and as such it features disc brake only and revised geometry, including a taller head tube, which should make those 180km bike legs in the Ironman more comfortable, you would think, maybe.
Yeah.
Also, look at this neat storage box behind the head tube.
Yeah, plenty of storage space in there. Triathletes love sandwich boxes, don't they? There's also a highly UCI illegal sandwich box that can fit just above the bottom bracket inside the tube as well. So
get a pizza in there.
You could do. Well, we nailed the pronunciation there, mate.
High five.
Yes. There's also a new wheel from Envy, who've released the one wheel that was kind of missing in their lineup, which is a time trial disc. And apparently it took over 5 years to develop, and we actually spotted Dimension Data riding unbadged versions of this wheel this season. And it's going to be available in rim and disc brake versions.
Nice. A disc. You'd have wheel envy if you saw that.
Yeah, you would, yeah. And the other interesting thing is that it's only going to be available in a clincher version, although it is tubeless compatible, and apparently it's also optimised for 25mm tyres, which is consistent with the sort of latest data that suggests that the lowest rolling resistance is offered by 25mm and tubeless systems. So, yeah, interesting. It's going to be about $2,700, I believe.
It's now time for Screw Riding Upgrades by Upgrades. For your chance to win a GCN Workshop apron, all you have to do is drop your upgrades into the uploader tool that's in the description below.
Yeah, or, well, apron/cape, or capron, as many of you have suggested it should be called in the comments. Speaking of which, where is the capron?
Oh, normally I get it thrown in my face. Yeah. John Canning!
Cheers, John.
Yeah, see, we thought he was on holiday. He's in the basement.
Thanks, mate.
Firstly though, we need to announce last week's winner. It was Ben from Peterborough up against Chris from Winnipeg. Yeah. And with a whopping 59% of the votes, it was Ben from Peterborough who found the bike in a bush.
Capron's in the post.
Congratulations.
So this week, what do we have? Well, firstly, we've got Felix from Bristol in the UK. So this is Felix's 1980s Peugeot Dakar mountain bike that has been converted into a drop bar one-bike bike. Felix bought the frame for £40. He then swapped most of the components to create a bike that met Felix's dirty requirements, albeit within a budget. Felix's upgrades include Mavic rims and Shimano 1x hubs, Continental Race King 2.2-inch tyres, Shimano 1142 cassette, Shimano Altus rear derailleur, Shimano Dura Ace bar end shifters, 40-tooth narrow wide chainring, threadless adapter and stem, flared drop bars and Shimano brake levers. That is a serious upgrade, and what we used to see plenty of people experimenting with late in the 80s, early 90s. Love it. Great looking bike.
Felix is up against another flat bar to drop bar conversion this week, and he will be going head to head with Francois from Vancouver. Francois needed a solid winter bike to deal with the Canadian climate. Francois, he looked high and low for the ultimate solution when it was staring them in the face with a flat bar conversion project. The Brodie Tempest was the bike of choice, and the suspension forks were already swapped for some rigid carbon ones. But then the real work began. In order to use the current group set, Francois treated the Brodie to some Juvenile friction shifters mounted on the hoods, allowing Francois to run drop bars with the MTB setup. Some 30mm rims and Schwalbe X1 33mm wide tyres finished it off nicely. Francois notes that the bike is very pressure washer safe, unlike their road bike.
Nice.
What do you reckon then, Ollie?
Well,
Felix or Francois?
I think they're both excellent submissions. I'm a big fan of the Peugeot, but it's not up to me, it's up to you guys. So get voting up here.
It's now Bike of the Week. Last week was the Rebel e-bike versus the Tifosi Mons, and stealing the show with a whopping 73% of the vote, it was, drumroll, the Tifosi Mons.
Big margin, that.
It is a bit, yeah. Who's up this week?
Well, this week we've got two Canyons. So we have got the custom painted Canyon of European Cyclocross champion Matteo van der Poel. Nice. It's an in-flight CF SLX full carbon frame, Dura Ace Di2 2x group set. We should point out C40 wheels, and also interestingly, he's got a bottle on there, which is unusual for a cyclocross bike, and was allowed because that photo was taken in a race with unusually hot conditions. Naturally, it's got rather nice custom paintwork on there.
Yeah, it's nice that. Who's he up against?
He's up against Alejandro Valverde, who, well, he's back in the head-to-head Bike of the Week again. Justifiably though, because this is his World Champions Canyon Ultimate CF SLX, and well, it's just beautiful. It's got the World Championships livery on it, so rainbow sort of stripes everywhere on the wheels, the power meter, the frame. I mean, it looks brilliant, absolutely awesome. So.
Yeah, make sure you vote up there in the top right corner. I think I know who my vote's going to.
Yeah,
it's not Valverde.
I'm going for Valverde.
I don't like that. It's too white.
Yeah, but tune in next week to see who wins the head-to-head. Bike Vault time now, where you submit pictures of your bike with a chance to being entered into our Bike Vault. Who's going to ring the bell this week? Do you want to ring the bell?
I don't know if I can, pick up from where Canning's took off last week. But...
Ring the bell! There we go.
Come on then.
Right, let's see.
Stuck in.
Let's get going.
First up.
Well, we got Luke from the Gold Coast in Australia with his specialised Alley Sprint. Vision Trimax wheels, SRAM Force Grupo, Zip cockpit, rotor cranks, aero rings, Corsa tyres. Look at that. Well, I really like that. I don't see many bikes in that colour, and I just think it's smart. He's ticked all the boxes. The crank arm's in the right position for the photo. It's got a nice background, you can see it.
You know what I actually really like is the fact that it's the aluminium sprint version. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they are cool. Aluminium frame, and well, they don't look aluminium. They're incredible looking frames. And he's lined up his wheel logos as well and everything. God.
You've either got too much time on your hands or just great attention to detail.
No,
either way though.
Attention for detail.
I think I
Super
know what.
nice.
Yes.
Next up, Joe from North Andover in, I think that's Maine in the USA.
Ooh. Kelfie Dragonfly Tandem, carbon frame, carbon Rolf wheels, 60mm, carbon handlebars, Di2 11 speed, hydraulic disc brakes.
You could almost imagine Batman and Robin riding along on that, couldn't you?
That bike is twice as nice as if it only had one saddle.
Yeah, so I've never seen a tandem quite like that, but it's very sort of unique, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what, Joe? I would absolutely love to have a tandem to ride with my wife. So from me, I can't not give that a super nice, if it was any sort of tandem.
Right, well, let's do it.
Come on.
Next up, we've got Sean from Toronto in Canada. And this is his Cielo by Chris King. Mechanical Campagnolo chorus and Bora 1 wheels. Includes a Silca frame pump too, very classy Silca frame pump.
Nice. Love a seaside picture.
I mean, yeah, slight nitpick, uncut steerer, but you know, maybe he's, you sort of measure twice, cut once, don't you? So maybe he's just playing it safe there, which is sensible.
Yeah, there is that. You know what? Why doesn't your pump match the colour of your bike?
Oh,
You've got yellow and green.
Bit of a clash there. I think he needs to colour match that pump, spray it, customise it. That's a bit of a...
At least your tyres line up with your valves. You're redeeming yourself there. Because I ride around at the moment with one that's not matching. It really annoys me, but I don't have the time to change it.
Yeah, I think that's a nice...
Yeah, it's nice. Well, also, I would have lined it up with the rear wheel against the bollard instead of the frame.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Good try, though.
Yeah. Good try. Right, what have we got next, Chris?
We have Juuso Turku, Finland, Cannondale CAD 12 1x11 E-tap and red 22 components. It's a hill climb specific gearing on that bike, and it's underneath the UCI weight limit.
Whew, that is nice.
I said it to John last week that I love that Cannondales have stuck to that traditional geometry.
The flat top tube is classic, isn't it? It's, when we talk about radical funky designs, there's something really appealing about that.
Yeah.
His saddle is very flat as well.
It is. It's
very flat.
Lovely angles.
I think that is a very nice bike. Nice autumnal scene as well.
I feel like this deserves... You've even gone out of your way to take a bike stand to that picture.
I know, super nice. Next up we have Gilles from Levis in Canada. Hope I've pronounced that incorrectly.
What if it's Levi's?
Yeah, Levi's, yeah. And this is his Bianchi Aria Campag group set, flight saddle on there as well. Well, it's just a sort of classic Celeste Bianchi. If John Cannings was here, that would be an automatic super nice just because it's a Celeste Bianchi. But for me, it's not immediately jumping out of me as super nice. His saddle looks like it's tilted a bit, a bit upright there, which is...
I'm going to take issue with the yellow Swiss stop sticker.
Yeah, and the uncut steerer is, there's a lot of uncut steerer there.
That's probably a fork from a bike 3 sizes bigger, but it's a lovely bike. However,
it is a lovely bike, but I think that's a nice...
It's going to be a nice from us.
A nice. Right, that's the end of the Bike Vault this week, unfortunately.
I wanted to ring the bell more.
But yeah, keep submitting your entries. We get so many, so we try and work through, we try to work through as many of them as possible, but hopefully one day you'll see your bike on there. It's nearly time for the end of the show. But before we go, let's have a look at what's coming up on the channel this week.
On Saturday, we have an in-depth look at Cy's cyclocross bike, which he took on the 3 Peaks Challenge with. On Sunday, it's your chance to win and an unboxing of the Sigma Rocks bike computer.
On Monday, we've got a video, 5 ways to make your bike faster. On Wednesday, we've got the tech clinic, and on Thursday, we're back here for the tech show.
Yep, and if you didn't win a caper on this week, still not convinced about that word, you can buy them on the shop, so why not check them out down there?
Yeah, I mainly use mine for cooking and fighting bike-related crime.
I normally wear mine with nothing underneath.
Yeah, oh well, and if you'd like to watch another video, then why not click down here for a video on Red Hook Tech. Hello and welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
This week, amongst the hot new tech, we have got tyre wars. Not just one, but 2 types of self-charging lights and a time machine.
Oh yeah, and not only that, we've also got a new bottom bracket standard. Yay. No, seriously, this could actually be a glimmer of light at the end of a very long, dark tunnel of misery, of compatibility and creaks and just general headaches.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's start then with what has been hot this week in the world of bicycle tech.
Well, maybe, Dan, we should actually start with what has been cold, wet and muddy, because it was, of course, the World Cyclocross Championships at the weekend. If you haven't seen any of the action yet, then I definitely think it'd be worth your while actually spending a bit of time and catching up, because it was brilliant.
It was. You definitely
really
should. And of course, conditions as muddy as those do place considerable demands on the rider's equipment. So it's always quite impressive to see that standard road group sets are generally used. Here, for example, is Wout van Aert's Felt FX1. He is running a full SRAM ETAP HRD group set with 46 and 36 tooth chain rings, which historically, for a male pro, is quite a small inner ring. But as we mentioned on this week's GCN show, the special part of his bike were the tyres.
Oh yeah, special perhaps, and certainly very different, because CX Magazine checked out and they said that the junior men, under 23 men and women, and senior women's titles were all won using Challenge Limas tyres. Matthew van der Poel had clearly taken notice because he swapped onto the Challenges for the first time all year, but Wout van Aert, meanwhile, went for something completely different. He went for really narrow 30mm wide Dugast Rhinos, and maybe that made the difference. They were a little bit easier to handle in ruts, perhaps, and they were able to cut through and find firmer ground through the slop, maybe get a bit more traction. Maybe they were the key.
Is it always this geeky in here?
Yeah. Let's talk about bottom brackets next, Dan.
Right.
Now, you have to forgive us, though, actually, not because we're talking bottom brackets, but because we are going to stay in the dirt very briefly. But I think this is going to be relevant to road riders in the long run.
Yeah, could well be. And now bottom bracket standards are frustratingly many and varied. It's enough to lead anybody, really, to insanity. So you have threaded bottom brackets, both English and Italian. You then have BB30, BB Right. You also have PF30, BB386.
Sorry, mate, I'm
Evo.
going to have to stop you there. I can already feel myself starting to twitch, actually. And you think things are bad on the road, mountain bikers are potentially even worse off. So fortunately, SRAM have stepped in and tried to clear things up a little bit. They've got a new standard called DUB, which stands for Durable Unifying Bottom Bracket. And basically, it's got a 29mm axle, which is new, and therefore it requires its own bottom bracket. But before you start shouting and screaming, these bottom brackets could work on any frame. So on a normal wide stance frame, you will have internal bearings, and then on narrower BB30 frames, you have externally mounted bearings, and the same thing on threaded as well.
It is a really cool idea, isn't it? Now, we are not a million miles away from this on the road with FSA's BB386 Evo, but this does appear to go one step further, doesn't it? So we like the sound of it.
Absolutely we do. Right, now sticking with SRAM, but going firmly back onto the road, they announced last week that they are launching their first direct mount brake. So it's called the S900. And direct mount brakes, you remember, are those that attach to your bike with 2 bolts as opposed to the more conventional one. And they are rim brakes as well.
Admittedly, they are slightly late to the party with this one, but it is good news for those of you who do not like to mix your group sets. Maybe, for example, like Katusha, the World Tour team.
Yeah.
Right, more hot new tech coming up later on in the show. This week, we have been pondering whether or not professional cyclists really are riding the best bikes in the world.
You'd think the answer would be an immediate yes, wouldn't you? After all, they get to ride top-of-the-range frames and the best group sets and wheels and tyres. And in fact, they get to test prototypes that we can't even get our hands on. And not only that, it's all cared for by expert full-time mechanics.
Where things do start to get more complicated in this discussion, though, is when you introduce the rules.
Oh, the infamous rules.
Yes, those rules set out by cycling's governing body, the UCI, which basically dictate everything to do with a rider's bike, from the weight of it, to the shape of the tubing that they can use on the frame and forks, to the position that they're allowed to adopt on their bike. And there was even a point where they couldn't adjust the tilt of their saddle.
Oh yeah, and they're not even allowed to use e-bikes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we jest of course, but these are just a few examples of how we, Joe Public, can do anything when it comes to our bike tech. So if you want to go out there and build a space-age super aerodynamic bike, go for it. If you want to build a super lightweight climbing bike, you can feel free to do that as well. You can even tilt your saddle down if you want to still have kids. Not worry about it, fill your boots.
Well, hang on a minute, mate, not so fast. Yes, you could go out and build a super lightweight bike, or you could go and find a super aero bike. But don't forget that when we weigh pro bikes on GCN or GCN Tech, they're almost always over 7 kilos, which suggests to me at least that actually there are some things more important than just lightweight, so like durability or comfort or aerodynamics, in fact. 3 constituent parts of a theoretical best bike, I think. And if you did decide that you wanted to go super aero, like get yourself a Cervelo P5 for example, there would be a massive trade-off with weight. It would weigh a ton, or 9.87 kilos, I believe. But still, the point is there, that actually maybe pros have arrived at the perfect balance of an all-round bike. And I think you'd be forgiven for actually thinking that the Tour de France is the perfect test of an all-round road bike. Like hours in the saddle, long distances, high speeds, climbing, descending, handling.
Yeah, maybe. But I think you also only have to glance briefly at trade shows such as the one down the road, Bespoke Bristol, or Bristol Bespoke, NABS, to name but a couple, to see that there is a whole lot more on offer out there. Because after all, there are only a certain number of bike manufacturers with the budget to sponsor a high-level professional cycling team. And what that means is that there are a boatload of smaller manufacturers that we never get to see at races.
True, but does smaller necessarily mean better? You see,
that's what I always claim.
I think you'd be hard pushed to actually find a boutique bike that is as light, as aerodynamic, or as durable as the kind of bike that we see in the World Tour.
I think a lot depends on what you think is better. For example, road riding for many of us as a hobby is changing, isn't it? We are not riding solely on the road anymore. We're doing bits of gravel riding as well. And from that perspective, you wonder whether a bike like the 3T Explorer is better. Because not only is that bike aerodynamic, it's also really versatile. So you can ride it on the road, off the road. You can even do bike packing with it.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not going to disagree with that. But don't forget that depending on what frame you choose to suit your different riding styles, if you were to build up the best Explorer that you could, to stick with your example, you'd still choose the same components that the pros use, wouldn't you? You'd have the same group set, you'd have the same choice of wheels, the same handlebars and stems. So really all we're talking about here is choosing a different frame that may or may not suit one rider over another. And so actually, I think pros are riding the best frames that they can do for the type of riding that they do.
So it comes down to choice then, doesn't it? We, as the general public, have an almost infinite amount of choice when it comes to the equipment that we choose to use. The pros, well, their choice is a lot more limited, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, can you imagine a world tour where pro cyclists had to buy their own bikes?
Wow. Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think they'd all end up riding the same one?
Ooh, there's a question. One bike to rule them all. I don't think they would. I think personal choice would come into it, but it would be super interesting.
It would. Unfortunately, we're never going to find out, are we?
No, but we would like to know what you guys think actually on this subject. Are pro cyclists on the best bikes out there? Or actually, does it not even matter what pro cyclists ride anymore? Because pro opinion isn't relevant to product development anymore, because as Dan said, the riding that we're doing is different. Let us know in the comment section.
It's an interesting and evolving topic,
I
think, isn't it? Right, before we get on with some more new tech, last week, John and Tom were asking whether you thought marginal gains even matter. And as ever, you lot made some great points down in the comments section.
Yeah, I like this one from Minuteman, actually. He said, every gain since the invention of the bicycle, has been marginal. 200 years of marginal gains took us from the penny farthing to where we are now.
That is a great point, isn't it? It's like evolution again.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Stefan Hoffman wrote, marginal gains, 90% mental. I can't help but obsess about my bike when I'm recovering, and I wouldn't benefit from riding more. And if it can get better, it bugs me to know that it's not. The answer? Clean your chain instead.
Stefan, you legend. Yes, hit the nail on the head. Clean your chain. Marginal gain. Let's get involved in some more new tech, shall we? So Time have just released their first new frame set in 4 years. Yep, it's called the Alpe d'Huez Ultime, and it is entirely made in France, right down to the weaving of the tubes.
Yeah, for a top level carbon bike, it's actually quite heavy. It comes in at 840 grams, and that is quoted for a size small frame with no paint on it, which is a little bit cheeky, really. However, weight is not everything. Provenance can be, as can aesthetics, and this Time bike could tick both those boxes.
Yeah, definitely does on aesthetics for me. I think that's lovely. Right, how do you fancy a new helmet? There've been plenty launching this year, and now Limart have just jumped into the fray as well with this, the Air Speed. So details are pretty sketchy at the moment, but it's clearly an aerodynamic road helmet. They say that it is faster than their TT helmet, except that it's got vents. I think it looks pretty good to boot as well.
At the moment, unfortunately, you will have to just admire it from afar on the riders of Team Astana, but I think you could easily do that, because like you said, it looks good and it's got a very small profile.
Yeah, I like that. Right, so we have been indulging in one of our favourite pursuits of trawling crowdfunding websites for random bike nuggets, like this, the Power Mule. It's an e-trailer that propels your bike in front of it.
It looks massively sketchy, doesn't it? But it does give you 250 watts of extra power, and it will propel you up to 20 miles per hour. And the best bit, for me at least, is that you don't even have to pedal.
No. Now, I tell you what, I am really in favour of like cargo bikes, utility bikes, keeping cars off the roads. And you'd think it would work, wouldn't you, to a certain extent? So it's not a total thumbs down for me, not completely.
It almost sounds like a ringing endorsement, to be honest, Si. Right then, what about brake pad lights in the form of magnetic microlights?
Well, yeah, these sound quite funky, right? So according to the company, they say they are the world's first contactless rim dynamos working on pure aluminium wheels and delivering never-ending bright light without any batteries, without wheel contact, without cables, and without noticeable resistance. What sounds like a miracle is based on eddy current technology and has nothing to do with perpetual motion machine concepts or pseudoscience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, in a similar vein, earlier this week on the GCN show, we told you about the fact that over on Indiegogo shortly, there will be the launch of Arara lights. It uses neodymium magnets, which are mounted onto either the stays or the forks, which then create a charge every time the light, which is mounted onto a spoke, goes past it.
That is cool. In fact, both of those products are cool. I really like, well, the theory behind them. At the very least, we'll see what the products end up being like. Right now, fans of Strava, who are also fans of indoor training, will be no doubt pleased to hear that the virtual miles that you rack up indoors can now count for Strava partner challenges, if said partner allows it to. So, for example, you'd have to wait to see whether Rafa allows indoor miles to count as part of their Festive 500, for example. And you'd probably think they wouldn't, given that it's not really in the keeping of the spirit of things. But
that was kind of news that wasn't news just then.
Yeah.
Right, moving on. Peter Sagan, as you very well know, has had his fair share of custom bikes over the years, but recently, for the first time, he gave one to somebody else. And not just anybody else. This is the custom specialised Venge that he handed to Pope Francis.
There are some pretty special features on this, aside from the Vatican-themed white and gold colour scheme, which, can I just say, I think looks frankly terrible on a bike frame.
You're not a fan, are you?
No, I'm not. I mean, I like the colour scheme, in the broader sense, the robes. I just don't like the bike frame. But anyway, the specialised head tube bag's actually been replaced by a papal coat of arms that was adopted by Pope Francis at his episcopal consecration in 1991.
I'm going to have to look up what that is. On the top tube is the almost obligatory name sticker, complete with the Argentinian flag. Interestingly though, not only is it an old specialised Venge model, but on it is a SRAM Apex group set, which is quite a long way from their flagship red group set, although perhaps chosen because the derailleurs, the brakes and the crankset all come in white and standard. Wall of Fame time now, following on from last week's rather simple invention of Cinelli cork bar tape. This week, It's the derailleur, or derailleur. Basically couldn't ignore the demands any longer.
That's right. We've got Matthew Porter, Roger Watt, Albion March, and stunt pilot Steph, to name but just 4. So here you go then, the Campagnolo Grand Sport rear derailleur. Now, arguably, it was actually the Simplex that set the tone for the modern derailleur. It has that sprung arm to adjust the chain tension as the chain moves over the different size sprockets at the back. And it was a super popular system amongst pro racers at the time. And legend has it that it was actually when Fausto Coppi won the 1949 Giro d'Italia aboard the French system that Tullio Campagnolo took to the drawing board.
The result later that year was the Grand Sport.
It's time for Bike of the Week, the point of the show where we put 2 bikes head to head and you vote for which one you like the best.
Yes, last week Tom and John gave you the option of either the Giant TCR or the Trek Madon. 2 super racy bikes, one lightweight, one aero, and both from big manufacturers. Your votes are in, and you have decided that the bike that is your favourite is...
You'll like this, mate. It's the Trek Madon with 63% of the vote.
Wow.
The same one that you rode, mate.
Interesting. Right, well, for this week, let's stick with the mud theme that we started earlier on in this show. First up, we've got this bike, which has just won the Elite Men's World Cyclocross Championships. This is Wout van Aert's Felt FX1. It's got that full SRAM red ETAP HRD group set, Zip 202 wheels. Zip also provide the bar, stem and seat posts. And of course, it has got those bespoke Dugast tyres.
Okay, well, in the red corner, literally, in fact, it's Mathieu van der Poel's Canyon In-Flight, his new one. So you've got the In-Flight frame there, you've got a Shimano Di2 group set, Shimano wheels, you've got Canyon integrated one-piece bar and stem. It didn't win the Worlds, but it dominated pretty much everything that he raced it in since January the 1st. So it is a pretty good performer there.
Yeah, right then, over to you again, as usual. Your chance to decide which of these muddy bikes is the best. You can vote right now.
I don't know which one to go for, mate. This time. Normally, I have an opinion. This time, I don't know.
Well, we're about to start my first ever bike vault, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dan. So John is, of course, away at Dubai, but he's left us with his. So
I heard that from the GCN set before.
No. Anyway,
Right.
Here we go. Let's start. Without further ado, we've got Jeffrey Hanning's Project One in Monda from Melbourne, Australia. First glance, Dan, that's looking pretty lovely, if you ask me.
Yeah, it does look very good. Although, I've never seen a saddle with a face at the front before. What's going on there?
It's not quite in keeping with the theme of the bike, is it? But, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
SRAM Red ETAP group set. He's got, is that an Envy stem on there? That's looking good.
Yeah, the rest of the bike is stealth, isn't it?
I really like that. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna put up with that saddle because everything else is done right, isn't it? He's got the cranks at the right position. I can't even see the valves on the tyres. He's hidden them.
Wow.
You know what that is, Dan? It's super nice.
It's gone the extra mile. Right then, next up from Andrew Sanders in Baltimore. This is his rally gravel bike. Now that looks like a bike that will stand up to a lot of abuse in a lot of conditions.
It looks fun, doesn't it? That looks like a fun bike to ride, which makes me like it. However, that one water bottle as opposed to 2, and it's a big one, isn't it?
It is a huge bead-on, yeah.
And it doesn't match the handlebar tape, which otherwise matches the accents on the frame. I think it's only a nice for me for that particular reason.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And
you
also,
only had to take your bottle off and it would have been great. Right, next up from Simon Cordia, the 8-bar Kronprinz from France. So this is almost like I was talking about earlier, Si. I've never seen this manufacturer of bike before, but again, it does look reasonably stealth. He's gone for the double bottles, but they are in keeping with the colour scheme of the frame and that SRAM red mechanical group set.
I'll tell you why you haven't heard of 8-bar before, Dan. It's because they're really quite cool. It's like a trendy, it's a trendy fixie collective from Berlin. And,
yeah, that will be why.
The only reason I know about them is because I bumped into them at Eurobike once, and that was it. Unfortunately, I'm not cool enough to know about them ever since. But that is a very cool bike. The one thing that I'm hesitating is that there's a dismembered hand holding it up, which I don't think that's cricket. you know, when it comes to bike bolts.
He obviously is determined that bike is not going to topple over. And it's a shame that hand's there, because he's got the valves at 12 o'clock, he's got the cranks at 3 o'clock, everything else about it is almost perfect.
I love the look of that bike. But it's not super nice because there's a hand. Sorry, that's brutal, isn't it?
It is.
God,
well,
are you up
that's
to
how
this?
you are, isn't it, Si?
Well, yeah, okay.
Meanwhile, from Carrie-Anne Kennington, this is a specialised crux over in New Zealand. It's very clean, isn't it? Almost looks brand new.
That's super cool, that, isn't it?
I'm going to mark it down because it's not in the big ring.
You know what? I just spotted that, mate. I think you're right. But can we hold that against it when it's got those Envy wheels on there? And I mean, because that is cool. That is a super, super cool bike with brand new Shimano Dura-Ace. It's just not in the right gear.
Oh, that's harsh. But fair. Maybe it's harsh but fair. And put it in the big ring.
If you want to get involved, then the email address to send your beloved bike to is, or at least a picture of the beloved bike, not the actual thing, don't worry, is on screen. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not sure they can get it via an email. And then also submit it via social media as well. Keep them coming in. We love a good bike vault picture.
I won't be on the show next week, so I might send you a picture of mine.
All right, mate. Yeah, let's do that. Just make sure your valve's in the right position and it's in the big ring, please.
Well, that marks the end of the show, doesn't it? Thanks for having me, firstly. Don't forget at home there to let us know what you think makes the best bike.
That's right. Are the pros riding them? That's the question. Now, John, obviously, as we mentioned earlier, is out at the Tour Dubai. And brilliantly, he's sending back videos from there. So why not check out what he's been up to? You can click through to it just down there.
And if you've enjoyed this particular edition of the GCN Tech Show, give it a thumbs up.
Oh, yeah. We all have, mate.
Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
This week we take a look at a brand new Brompton bike, as well as checking out what upgrades you've been buying for your bike.
And our big talking point this week is, what are the most cost-effective ways to lose weight off your bike? Oh. Before we get on to our big talking point though, let's look at what's hot in the world of tech this week.
Well, firstly, off the back of Emma winning that Brompton World Championships, is there nothing she can't do? I know, yeah. Anyway, they've just released a new bike called the 9 Streets, which is named after a really stylish, cool area of Amsterdam, which is called the Negenstraatjes. Now, we've never actually heard of that place, have we? Which is surprising, being the style icons that we are.
Yeah, it's very surprising, yeah. Brompton opened a store in this area several years ago, and this is the first bike that they've released to commemorate that. And each bike has a unique two-tone paint job, meaning that no two are the same. Each one's unique, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I do like that. And I think that paintwork absolutely stands out so well, doesn't it? Because Brompton, let's face it, quite a conservative kind of brand or bike, aren't they? I mean, you know, when you see one in the street, you don't, you know, you look at it, oh yeah, cool, Brompton, but you don't really look at it that much. But that one, a real head turner, and I think it's a beauty. And anyway, would you ride one?
Yeah, I'd definitely have one. But if I had one, I'd talk like this all the time. I'd ride my new Dutch Brompton.
Oh yes, the Negenstraatjes from Amsterdam. Yeah,
I love a Brompton.
But yeah, if you want to send us in one or two, then we'll happily ride them to work. This week then, we're going to talk about the best ways to lose weight from your bike. And this is really close to our hearts, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, making your bike lighter is really satisfying because it offers a noticeable and significant difference and improvement every time you accelerate or ride up a hill, and you can really feel it. So we want to look at some of the more cost-effective ways to reduce the weight of your bike.
But let's also look at some of the least cost-effective ways to save weight off of your bike. I mean, obviously this does depend on the current situation you are in with your equipment at the moment, but areas such as frame, group set and wheels, they can save you a lot of weight.
They can, but they're not often the most cost-effective ways. They're the most obvious places, but if you consider, say, a medium level carbon frame set versus a premium carbon frame set, the difference in weight is typically around 150, 200 grams.
Not a lot, is it?
Yeah, but you often pay, you know, 1,000, 2,000 pounds more for that frame set. So although you are saving money and the frame's arguably a bit stiffer often, but yeah, it's not necessarily the best way to save weight.
All right then, Ollie, where are we going to save some weight first, mate?
Well, John, I'm a big fan of latex.
Hang on. Yeah, me too. Snap's good.
So in all seriousness, latex inner tubes are a great way to save weight. Now, typically, a latex tube will weigh around 60 grams, which you compare to a standard butyl inner tube, which weighs around 100, 110 grams. So you can instantly save about 50 grams per wheel.
Yeah, 50 grams, 50%.
Yeah, now they typically cost twice the price of a butyl tube, which can seem a bit expensive, but in a pounds per gram or euros or dollars or whatever your currency is, if you think of it in a pounds per gram basis, it's a really cost-effective way to lose 100 grams off your bike. What's not to like?
But there are a couple of disadvantages actually, because I've used them in the past. Firstly, you have to pump up your tyres every single day or every single time before you go out riding, because they do tend to leak a little bit.
Yeah, they're porous, that's right.
Yeah, which is a little bit of a pain sometimes. What about tyres?
That is an excellent point. Why am I still wearing this?
Yeah, get it off. So weird.
So it's quite likely that the tyres that came with your bike are not the lightest available.
No.
Now, a good example would be Continental's Grand Sports. They're quite a common stock tyre fitted to new bikes, and they weigh around 270 grams a tyre in a 25mm width. So
yeah, quite a bit of weight there. Take for example this, a Grand Prix TT. 180 grams that weighs. Yeah. So straight away you could save, you know, 150, 200 grams just on your tyres alone, which is going to be less rolling resistance, which you're a big fan of.
Well, it is, yeah. So that is a faster tyre than the Grand Sport for sure.
Yeah.
So you've saved rolling resistance, but I think it's also worth factoring in that often with a lighter tyre, it's not always the case, but sometimes that can mean less longevity and decreased puncture protection with a lighter tyre as well. So it's worth just factoring that in. You know, you might don't want to put the lightest tyres on available to humanity if you're going to be riding through winter.
Yeah, exactly. Save the silk track tubular tyres for the Siberian pine of your local velodrome instead. Now, what about an area of comfort then? Because bar tape adds a surprising amount of weight. And on the market, there is even specialist lightweight handlebar tapes that are available for those weight weenies of you watching.
Yeah, the difference in weight between different types of handlebar tape can actually be really significant, but I have another way, and that is to wrap it in a more minimal way. So when you wrap your tape, the amount of length you use can vary significantly depending on how much overlap you actually have when you wrap it around. So if you just overlap it with the minimal amount compared to a full you can save like about that, 25 grams. But also think about how much tape you wrap along the top section of the bar as well. Maybe don't wrap the entire top. Yeah. Or don't wrap the top at all if you've got an aero bar. Saddles are a really cost-effective way to save weight off your bike. Now, if we take, for example, a Physique Arione Classic, it's a stock saddle on a lot of, well, high-end bikes, but it has aluminium rails, it weighs around 235 grams and costs about 119 euros as a retail price. Now, if you were to upgrade that to Physique's top-of-the-range saddle, which is the Arione 00, that saddle weighs 140 grams, which is really light. Yeah. Now, it does cost 350 euros, which is very expensive for a saddle and represents a really significant upgrade for anyone. But again, when we think about it in terms of this cost per gram basis, it's still a more cost-effective way of losing weight off your bike than, say, going for a premium frame over a mid-level frame. Yeah. You know,
it's a lot easier to change as well, isn't it? A saddle compared to compared to a frame, just to lose some grams. Yeah. And then you could go even more extreme. Selle Italia, they've got a saddle called the C59. Now, apparently that's meant to stand for 59 grams. You had one, didn't you? You weighed it in.
Yeah, it's 61.
Yeah, but that could well be his scales, who knows? Yeah. But when you're trying to make a product as light as that, obviously there is a little bit of room for a bit of variation. How about getting out the saw and also your Dremel too?
Yeah, you've opened up a can. Well, you've drilled into a can of worms there, John. The art of drillium was, you know, it's the practice of drilling holes in your components in a bid to save weight, and this was a lot more common back in the day when steel frames were more commonplace. And basically, I mean, people used to completely go to town. They would drill their frames, their handlebars, any components they could find, all the while treading the tightrope of structural integrity while turning the bits into Swiss cheese.
Yeah, now this was something which was actually most popular, I guess, with time trialists, wasn't it? Because they were putting out a more even amount of power. They weren't like road cyclists or road racers who were jumping here, there and everywhere. Obviously putting through quite a bit more stress through those components. And like you say, you know, handlebars, frames, cranks, brake levers, you name it, people were going through it. And well, it's not really going to be very good for the manufacturer's warranty, is it?
You wouldn't think so.
Yeah, let alone aerodynamics. Any other mods?
Yeah, well, I got the saw out and I chopped the drops off a really expensive pair of handlebars once.
No. Go on.
But, well, it did save weight. I saved 25 grams, but that admittedly was quite disappointing considering they were a really expensive pair of Fizzy 00 handlebars.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do it again for just 25 grams because of the lack of versatility that you then lost. But, you know, you only live once, thought I'd try it out.
Yeah.
You know,
there we are. Paint. Now, you can save a lot of weight with getting rid of paint, can't you?
Yeah, paint. I've taken paint off a bike frame before and saved over 300 grams. So, you know, off the frame and fork, strip all the paint off. You can save a lot, and there are a lot of companies actually up and down the land, and in different countries as well, I'd imagine, that will offer this as a service. You can have all the paint taken off your bike if you really want to go there.
But what we'd like to know is from the viewers, what have you done to make your bike really light?
Yeah, just send us in using the uploader, which is below, any modifications you've done to make your bike lighter. Because what we've talked about, it's
the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
isn't it, really?
it's by no means an exhaustive list. We want to see things that you've done, because we bet that some of you guys have done some amazing things to your bikes.
So first up this week is a new helmet from Limar, and I've never actually heard a helmet marketed in such a way. Apparently it's a gravel specific helmet, or for gravel lovers at least. So the Airstar has been designed and developed for gravel lovers in mind. Well, I can't really differentiate what makes it so special for gravel riding as opposed to a normal road helmet. But anyway, let's take a look at the details.
Yeah, so the Airstar is part of Limar's new Air Revolution range of helmets, and although Limar isn't making any specific claims about the exact aerodynamic performance of this helmet, I mean, it certainly looks fast. Yeah. It's a nice looking lid.
Yeah, it does. So despite not having a massive number of vents, it's been designed with the Venturi effect in mind. So for those of you who don't know what that is, basically it's where the air is exiting the helmet, or kind of like halfway point. There's a load of turbulence created by the incoming air that's already coming into the helmet. And that in turn increases the suction flow of that air coming in. So it's kind of like a vacuum, but a natural effect, if that makes sense. That's probably the easiest way to explain it without doing loads of science in here and us having our hair going crazy.
Well, that is pretty cool, but for me, the coolest part of the helmet is the little light that's on the retention dial at the back. Now, actually something that we've seen on other helmets as well, but I think this is a really neat one, and it's just a nice little way to improve a bit of visibility and safety.
Yeah. Now, the Morse Cage is a collaboration between Wolf Tooth Components and King Cage, and this is going to help particularly smaller riders who have problems currently accommodating water bottles into a smaller sized frame. So the common alternative at the moment to the Morse Cage is in fact a side-loading water bottle cage, so you just slide it in.
Yeah. Well, there's also taller riders who don't want to have to bend down as far.
Yeah.
So the Morse Cage offers vertical adjustment, 36 millimeters of it in terms of how high you want to fit your bottle. And it does this through its dot mounting mechanism, hence Morse Cage. Get it?
I get it, yeah. And lastly this week, Muck-Off have just released a new women's-specific chamois cream. This one is said to be pH balanced. It's enriched with shea butter, aloe vera, and sunflower oils to moisturise as you ride.
Yeah, I mean, it contains pro-vitamins and it's antibacterial, which is really important for stopping you getting saddle sores, and it contains no parabens as well, which I don't know what they are, but apparently they can cause skin irritation, which you definitely don't want in your delicate areas.
No, definitely not. And to be honest with you, it sounds like they contain all the good things that you'd want and none of the bad things that you wouldn't want.
Try it out. It sounds great. I want some.
More tech next week. So last week, Si and Ollie introduced a new section for you, and that was screw riding upgrades, bike upgrades, something which I'm a huge fan of because I love having bits of bike tech and bling and kit, and well, to be honest, I just like getting something new for my bike.
Yeah, we had lots of really awesome submissions in the uploader.
Loads.
So, you know, go click on the link below, use the uploader.
Send in yours.
Some of our favourites sent in this week. Without further ado, so we had one from Matt Divad Life. Treated themselves to a pair of Zip 304 wheels. So that is a 404 at the back and a 303 at the front, which is really cool because you know, a bit less, a bit more aero at the back, but a bit more stability in crosswinds at the front. So we like that, and
love that sort of upgrade.
And that on his BMCT machine, that looks really smart.
Yeah, that does look cool, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Great photo as well against the concrete wall.
Yeah.
Top marks for that. That's good.
We're stepping into bike vault territory if we start, you know, rating photos.
Yeah, quality upgrade though.
Yeah. What else have we got? Oh, what's it? Adam of KC. Got himself a new pair of ceramic bearinged aluminium jockey wheels. Now in the past I've done this, and at the time the increased noise between the chain and the jockey wheels, it did irritate me a little bit, to be perfectly honest, but since then I've actually refitted some and I've just got on with it and accepted the tiny little bit of extra noise, which you can get for the extra bling look. And that does look bling. Gold. We like gold chains, we like bits of gold on a bike. If I had my way, my bike would look like Mr. T's neck, covered in gold, covered in bling.
Adam from Antwerp is the next one we've got. So he sent this bike into the bike vault a couple of weeks back.
We like that, didn't we?
Yeah, but now he's told us the story. So he bought this Mercs with an old Chorus group set and what he describes as the sexiest wheels ever.
Actually, I described them as that.
Well,
but yeah, they are.
Campy Chamals.
Yeah.
But that bike had flat bars on it, which was a violation.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's what he's upgraded it to.
Basically, he's gone retro, but with a modern
twist.
There we are.
It's
just right, isn't it? But I like the fact he's shown the upgrades he's bought for it, hasn't he, in that picture?
Yeah, I mean, that's top marks. If you're going to be submitting this into screw upgrades, ride upgrades in the future, if you get extra points if you show us the before and the after.
Yeah.
We really like that. That's really good. And don't forget to submit your upgrades for next week's show, where there's also going to be a prize. So now each week in screw upgrades, ride upgrades, we're going to give away to the best submission a GCN apron.
Yeah, exactly. So you can work on your upgrades wearing a GCN apron. Yeah. We couldn't give one away this week because, well, it wouldn't be fair, would it, really? Because we didn't say so. No. So yeah, as of next week, GCN aprons. And it's our decision, isn't it? It's final.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't argue with us. Bike of the week time then. I love this bit. But first of all, let's reveal the results of last week's, where we put Jakob Fuglsang's custom painted Argon 18 Galleon Pro, that's so tasty, up against the Dutch TT champion of Team Sky, Dylan van Baal, that Pinarello Bolide. And well, this is extremely, extremely close.
Yeah, it's one of the closest ones we've had.
Yeah, I couldn't quite believe it. 51% of the votes. Yep, it's that Argon 18. Oh, imagine we had a draw. We'd have to just roll over, wouldn't it? Roll over
like lottery, yeah.
Yeah, just roll it over, keep rolling it over.
So this week, right, lightweight battle.
Ooh.
So we've got the BH Ultralight of Amel Mwynar from the Fortunato Samsic team. We did a video of that bike as well, don't we?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
So you can check that out.
Yeah.
And we're going to put this up against James Lousy Williams, our very own James Lousy Williams. Trek Madone 9 SLR9.
Yeah. 9 disc.
Yeah, so I don't know why I said it was a battle of the lightweights, because that's not the lightest bike in the world. But,
No, but there's a lightweight
bike
versus aero, and it's us versus the pros, isn't it, really? Who are you going to go for?
Well, I've got a Trek as well, so I'm going to go for that, because it's like voting for my own bike.
There's also a backstory here, because you once rode against Amam Moana, didn't you? And he dropped you, I believe. We were talking off camera just now, and he said, I remember that name.
Yeah, I rode against, well, I was out with BMC, and we rode up against the Izoar, and Moana was testing me out, but he was sort of like toying with me, like a cat with a mouse.
Oh, brilliant!
And about 2k from the top, I'd managed to stay with him, and I was on my limit, and I was dying, and he was probably just zone 2. And then he just like attacked, and then he rode off, laughing to himself, going, "Aha! He's cracked! He's cracked!" And I was like, "Oh God."
That's not very nice, is it? Anyway,
vote for the Trek.
No. Vote for the bike which you think deserves to win up there in the corner. We'll reveal the results next week and have 2 more head-to-head. Always do that. Now it's time for the moment of the show where probably most viewers out there are on tenterhooks, wondering if they've made it into the show this week.
It's my favourite. It's
Go
the
on.
bike vault. I've got the belt.
Be careful.
The bell of justice.
No ring. No. Who wants to ring it this week? You can. Good. Okay. Yes. Right. Right then. Let's see who has been. Well, who's inside the bike vault this week and who gets voted nice or super nice. As ever, you know what to do. Use that uploader tool to send in pictures of your bike. There's a link to it in the description below. And yeah, maybe you'll find yourself in here, and we will rate you nice or super nice. Let's crack on. First one this week. Alexander from Auckland in New Zealand. A 2003 Cervelo Dual. Apparently, Alexander, he bought it as a frame and slowly built it up to race at crits. Also, just to have a cool bike. Can't argue with that. Stripped the frame and polished it, then added bits and pieces as they went along. That would have taken a while to strip back that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'll have good marks for the stripping the paint off.
Love a good strip.
I think, you know, that's like our custom thing that we had a few weeks ago, so I'm a big fan of that, got a lot of time for that, and I love the aluminium finish, and a big fan of that version of Dura X.
What about the wheels? The wheels are pretty deep, don't they?
I think, for me, the wheels are just a little bit too big, a little bit too deep. The proportions just aren't quite
to the frame,
right.
It looks like you would get, well, blown away, doesn't it, with that? I think I would.
Yeah, I think it's a very nice bike. But
nice bike.
I don't think it's quite super nice.
No, it's a nice bike though, Alexander. Good effort. Do like that. Oh, look at this. Right, so this is sent in from Alistair. It's actually his son's bike, but I reckon
Glastonbury as well.
Yeah, Glastonbury Tour in the background there. Yeah. But I reckon his son actually wrote the description because he said, dragging my dad around 50 miles. It was his son's birthday. They stopped in Glastonbury for a bacon butty. 12th birthday today. This is red chili bike, Campag Potenza 11 speed. I mean, that's a mighty fine bike, isn't it, for a 12-year-old?
Oh, when I was a junior, I would love to.
Yeah,
love a bike
I was
like
on a bike that they delivered bread on in those black and white adverts when I was 12 years old.
Yeah, well, bacon butty on your 12th birthday and demolishing your dad around Glastonbury.
Oh, it's super nice, isn't it?
Halcyon days.
Yeah.
I think that's super nice for that.
Yeah, super nice. Yeah, and happy birthday, many happy returns. Oh, another one from Auckland, New Zealand.
Nice.
Who's this then? Dave.
Good one. Dave, yeah, he's got his Klein here.
Yeah.
Oversized tubing on this classic custom painted green splash Klein. Almost 30 years of goodness. I mean, it's down tube shifters on there, look very tidy as well. So he's got custom paint, Shimano 600 group set.
That's the Tricolor one. That's bang on.
He's also got, bio-paste chain rings.
Controversial at the time.
Controversial choice, but a nice piece of retro tech.
Yeah.
And it looks all in immaculate condition, I have to say.
Mavic, they look like GP4s. I can just see a little bit of purple on the logo of that. I'm getting a bit geeked out here. Now, this is something which I miss on modern wheels. See on the rims where they have those like worn out patches where the spokes are in? I absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's just...
Love it.
I mean, top marks, I would say, for keeping that bike in such good condition.
Yeah, one piece.
You know, it is, but it's...
I think that's super nice.
Yeah,
super nice. Go on, give it a ring. Right, who next? Jamie, Zurich in Switzerland. Look at that for a backdrop. That's a nice place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I've been there. It's nice.
Yeah, I've been there. Emma's been there. All right, Colnago Master Olympic. Apparently it's got a period Campagnolo Chorus 8-speed group set, new custom-built wheels with new old stock Campag hubs laced to H+ sun rims, wrapped in Conti Grand Prix classic tyres. Of course, they got those sort of tan-wall sidewalls. Taken at the Rapper's Wheel at the bottom of Lake Zurich. Although it's not at the bottom because that would be, well, underwater. But yeah, it's obviously at the bottom end of it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Well, nice Colnago Master Olympic.
Yeah.
Classic sort of colour scheme on there.
Yeah.
Big fan of that. I really like the chain set on that bike as well.
Yeah. It's the right gearing, but something about it, I don't know.
It's just not. It's
not
nice, but it's just missing that kind of like wow factor.
Yeah, that real big wow. Look at this. Look at me. I'm a Colnago master.
Yeah.
Like, come and give me a super nice. That's what it's missing. Saddle doesn't look very high, does it, compared to the bars? But anyway, Jamie, personally, for me,